Alright, here we go to my garage to do my tutorial videos on paint and maintenance work. Oh, and here's something that I learned today. Let me open my garage up. What I learned today is that for piston rings that are grinded down, you could grind down piston rings to racing pistons have less drag on the cylinder walls, so you can go faster and the engine runs better. I just found out that I have piston rings that are made for racing because my vocational teacher, the one that gave me the piston rings, he grinded them down so they have less drag against the engine. But the problem is it has an oil seal leak, so he told me to run it on Mobil 1 synthetic instead of Lukoil 10W30 or 10W40, which I usually run it on. So I'm going to do that, see how that works, and now to show you my paint that I finished up with today. See if you guys can see this. Here, I'll just go around with the camera. I did a complete splatter paint job, all on the go-kart. It's green and black, flat black with like lime green spray paint with lime green like house paint that I just splattered on there. It's real nice. I'll pull it around. I hate when this freaking go-kart does this. Back tires lock up when you spin it. So, anyway, this is the splatter paint on my go-kart. And if you don't see the Valvoline sticker underneath the go-kart, I do have a sponsor for basic oil and engine training from Valvoline. I have the certificate somewhere in this garage. I'll find it later. But anyway, I'm certified, and Lincoln Tech wants me to go to their school. I have a lot of, mechanical stuff going for me. So anyway, this is my splatter paint. I faded the bars up. Green fade on the bars with green splatter paint on a flat black base paint. For my Briggs, I did all the work on my Briggs myself. This used to have a 50cc. If you guys don't recognize this go-kart, from what it used to be, it is a Baja Scooter X, and I just did a complete remount system, completely redid this whole go-kart. I did from oil and engine work. Closer here. If you guys can see, I had to size down this chain. This is a gold chain that I had to size down and make to the right slack and length for the go-kart. I made a custom mount for my back sprocket back here because it wouldn't fit the stock axle for the Baja, because I didn't really want to change that much involving the axle, and that would be like a complete rebuild, and I would have to do different welds because these bearings for the rear axle, they're smaller than the regular hub bearings that you'd see on a normal go-kart. It would have, normal go-karts have a 1.5 inch crank or a 1 inch crank, not 1 inch crank, or 1.5 inch, what is it? I'm not talking about the crank right now, I'm talking about the axle. The axle, we would have, usually on regular go-karts, you would have a 1 inch axle, but this is, no, you have a 1.5, basically a 2 inch axle for the regular go-karts. But mine is a 1 inch axle and I have everything bolted down. This has an oil leak though. I have to reseal this up because, you know, engine problems. Friggin' ate up the gasket sealant after years and years of having this on. Because I sealed this up. Well, it hasn't been really a year. It's just that I pulled off this crank cover and I just went to go put it back on. It doesn't have any oil in it, but all the spare oil just leaks out. So I just got to reseal that up. But the engine still runs, and I have to run Mobil 1 synthetic on it, and I have a racing piston, forged domes piston with racing piston rings, ARC connecting rod, stroker crank. What else? I have my diaphragm. For my diaphragm carburetor, it's bored out larger, and the bore for the block is larger also. This exhaust unscrews here, if you don't see. Let me see, let me get this right. Yeah, this whole exhaust system unscrews right here. You can just unscrew it by hand. But since it's like frozen in there, it's frozen in the block because the block's like freezing cold right now. Other than that, this go-kart works pretty good. I created a back mount because I only have the two front bolts bolted into the band iron here where the other engine used to be. And if you guys want to know how to make this, you know, like 5 to 10 horsepower racing go-kart, this small go-kart, it's all you gotta do is basically just cut the mount for the old 50cc, drill the 2 holes in the band iron that are on the bottom of the go-kart. Make sure that there's a back mount and 2 front mounts so the engine is stable. You don't want it to move around a lot because vibration is an engine's enemy. Vibration, you can make your gas tank fall off. You can make, you know, the threads for the carb come undone and strip out. You can you know, you can have your screw and exhaust fall out if it's not tightened in there enough. You can, you know, basically just you could leak oil from oil splashing too high up in the cylinder. Well, not leak oil, you'll burn oil from oil splashing too high up in the cylinder. And that's all you really got to do. You just got to take the mount off for the little 50cc that used to be on your Baja. Drill 2 holes in the front of the front piece of band iron. Drill 2 holes. Bolt the front end of the engine down. But see if you have like a mounting plate or pieces of band iron to go back to the other bolts, and basically kind of make the band iron act as a clamp. So you have the 2 bolts going through the band iron on the end on the frame, and then you have the band iron being bolted by the 2 bolts, and then you have the other 2 pieces of band iron being bolted back here. So your engine is basically clamped down in the rear. And get it, you know, by a chain. If it's too big, size it down, because all you have to do is take out your master link. And what you can do if you don't have a chain breaker is you take like a hammer and you tap the little link pieces, the little metal link bolts. Here. These little metal bolts that are on the chain right here that pop out, the little nipple looking things, you hit them with a hammer and they pop out the other end. You could use, you know, a center punch, and you could punch the rest through a little bit farther. Get vice grips, clamp it down, and pull it out, and then that'll take off. But you gotta measure how many links you need to take out. So basically, when you're disconnected with the master link, you just wrap the chain back around, don't connect it, and see how many extra links are there. And then measure by the back links. So if I needed like 2 links taken off, you know, and if I wanted to take these 2 links off, I measure here. Measure here and pop this one out also. So, and then you'll have the master link go here instead. If you catch my drift. You'll have the master link go in the center there, and if you want to, you could buy another one. But your best bet when you do this, make sure that one side always has like the little pieces sticking out, the outside plates for the chain. Always have the outside plates on one side and have the little ball bearing pieces for the chain on the other side. And then you turn the outside plate like 90 degrees from the other one, slide it in, turn it back over, pick it up, put it on the little nipple piece, hit it with a hammer, tap it on tight, and clamp it with vice grips. And that should size down your chain, and it should be durable. And basically, that's all you really got to do. You know, slap on the engine, make sure you have band iron to clamp down the rear, or a mounting plate like what I did, but I still have band iron in the back. Make sure if you don't have a governor, because I took my governor out last night, I took the whole gear out. If you don't have a governor or anything like that, you'd want to use, you know, have a spring going from this part of the, here, let's see if you can see it. Right up here. The little piece right here. You want to have a spring going from there to something mounted on the top. Me, I have a little piece of metal coming off with threads on it. I put a die to it, and threaded it up, and tightened it down, and that's what keeps my spring on. And it stays on good. You know how many bounces I go through, the spring still don't pop off. It stays on nice. And what I did, since I broke off the little tab on my throttle here, is what I did is I rewired my throttle wire, and I used the idle screw, and I stuck the thread through where the idle screw goes and tightened the idle screw up all the way, so it has a high idle. And what my vocational school teacher told me to do today for the oil leak is to turn the gold knob on your diaphragm carb about ½ inch. And it should run right. I'm going to clean off my spark plug, and hopefully after I run it on Mobil 1 synthetic, my go-kart's still gonna, you know, burn oil, he said, but, you know, if I run it on Mobil 1 synthetic, it should run right. So, that's the end of this video. Hope you guys liked it.